I am really pleased to be here with Nicola Gryczka. Thank you very much for coming along, for putting up with the multiple ways that we're filming and speeding this. But to give you an introduction, the CEO of Gastromotiva and the co-leader of the social gastronomy movement. Have I got that right?
That's perfect.
Okay. So it's so exciting to be with you here because I've been with you as you've launched the movement. You've brought chefs to Davos. We talked 2 years ago about the refectorio. Give me a little update about what you're excited about this year in Davos.
So thank you for having us again.
Of course.
It's always exciting to share with everyone online or with you guys here. And yes, we've had quite the path. So from coming and catering with food surplus.
And food surplus meaning what? Yes. Just tell me what it is.
Sure. So when we talk about food surplus, it's all the food that we didn't use for consumption, but that goes to landfills instead. So it could be along the value chain from production, ugly fruit, vegetables, or supermarket products that are close to expiry or that expired. And so we collect them and we transform them into something new. So giving it a new life cycle and showing the world that everything that we produce could actually feed the entire world. So when we talk about zero hunger, we actually have a solution. So that was really the idea that we brought back then to the Olympics through the refectorio Gastromotiva and to Davos in 2017. And it continues being one of our strong messages because it's such an important issue. And so that as well this year will be part of what we're going to be doing. We continue the social gastronomy catering, so bringing sustainable meals and food surplus, so new life cycle dishes to the events and nightcaps of
A new
Davos.
lifestyle dish. Now tell me what that is.
So it's really just a new cycle, a new life for that food. But we devalued because we were sending it to the landfill, right? But each food product has value because all the effort. I mean, it's natural resources, human resources that went into it. And so we devalue it. And so we just want to give it a new value. So it's a new life cycle for that product.
And I love this idea of using the word resource because it actually has the re in it. So it's this source, you know, a source food is a source of nutrition. And if you put the re with it, it's actually, you know, it's something that can be reused as well as being a resource. If that's not getting too kind of weird and geeky
No, I think
word-wise.
it's perfect because that's like, I mean, the cycle of life is like that. It starts somewhere, it ends, and it goes back into the soil. And so it's just, I feel that we're disconnected from the cycle of life. And so that's around food, it's around our own bodies. And so how do we reconnect to nature and respect and see where it comes from and where it should go?
So you were working, the first time we spoke, you were talking about what the social gastronomy movement could do for the Rio Olympics.
Yes.
What's going to happen in Japan for you guys?
So like we were chatting, we do intend to bring in sort of actions. I can't share everything yet, but we definitely, we do want to share the power of food and the legacy that we left at the Rio Olympics in Japan as well. So we're preparing with some stakeholders. We're here in Davos. One of our intentions is connecting with the Japanese delegations and companies in order to now prepare already for what we want to create around the Japan Olympics and bringing everyone to the table. That's all I can say for now.
Okay.
But we're super excited to have learned from what we did in Rio and bringing then, adapting to the context of Japan, obviously, our new innovations. And it's really exciting because it's not just Gastromotiva and a few of the chefs that believed in having to do something during the Olympics, but now we actually have a social gastronomy community.
It's amazing. So tell me, how big is this this movement now?
From an idea that was launched last year in the World Economic Forum that was really just a vision and a group of people that wanted to do something. This idea of a social gastronomy movement was endorsed and supported by Cargill and became a reality this year. And so we have over 300 projects mapped around the world. So it
in
means,
places like where?
I mean, from Cambodia to Zurich. So there's different actions. So I think social gastronomy is powerful in any context. And so it could be really adapted to the local needs. In Rio, we work a lot with favelas, with refugees. Then we integrate people into the society through social gastronomy. And then you have in Cambodia, Friends, for example, Friends International, another project that's part of our movement. They work with sustainable restaurants and they train the students there. but it's also adapted to the local context. We have a Clink Foundation in the UK that works with ex-inmates, integrating them in society.
Okay.
Then we have a Zurich hub that works with refugees a lot. They work with food surplus, so different topics in each context, but we all connect through this powerful tool that's food and the table.
And I love the idea. I love this sort of this analogy of bringing people to the table. On the Global Goals Cast, which is the partner podcast of Hub Culture, we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, and we know that the world is already very diverse, but the idea is that we need to bring those diverse voices to the table so that we all rise up together, and food is such an important part of that.
So I think what we're trying to promote, you were asking about intentions before, is bringing everyone to the table, and for us, we address a lot of SDGs, but obviously the most important one to make this really happen, to bring systems change into the food industry, is SDG 17,
Partnerships.
And partnerships can only thrive if you embrace diversity. And so, again, that analogy of bringing everyone to the table, when we sit at the table, we're at eye level. We look at each other, and we often forget about the surroundings as well, because we're sharing food. There's nothing more powerful than breaking the bread together, sharing. And so the conversations go much deeper. And that's what we're trying to bring as well to Davos. We'll have our own celebration moment, so looking back at what was done already in 2018, and looking forward and bringing more people towards this community, towards this movement, with a breakfast that's provided by the Zurich hub, actually.
Okay.
So all sustainable food, locally sourced. There'll be some refugee dishes that were prepared specifically
Incredible.
for us. And so I'm very excited to have everyone at the table.
I love it. And I think it also something that you've said to me before that I'm now going to say so I can look smart is that when you're sitting at the table, you all have eye contact.
Yeah.
And it's actually that idea of, you know, I'm a higher status, I'm a lower status, that goes away when you sit together.
Yes. It's balanced out. It goes back, even Churchill talked a lot about food diplomacy. So he brought everyone to the table, celebrated, brought food and wine, and then resolved the issues. And I think that's exactly what we need to do again, and not just sit down in the bilateral meetings here, but go sharing meals together. And trust me, we'll find solutions.
Tell me what you are most surprised about since you launched this movement. What was the thing that happened that you didn't expect?
When we launched the movement beginning of last year here at the WEF, we had the intention of doing something. We knew that we had to do something. So we started with little meetings, but all of a sudden what surprised us all most is this moment in the world. But it needs solutions through food because it's so relevant. It plays such a central role in all our lives. And so Miami was supposed to be our first gathering, but more bringing our connections, our friends to the table that are working with different elements of social gastronomy to come up what's our mission, what's our vision as a community, as a movement. And from 20 people invited, we ended up being 70. So I think that's the biggest surprise factor of saying, wow, these people all paid their flight, came over, gave up 3 days of their week. And they're all hardworking people, busy people, right? But what they know, we need to do something, we need to do something collectively. And that, I think, was our biggest surprise throughout last year, which turned into magic, because honestly, these 3 days in Miami were so powerful. So we saw, okay, from idea to action, now we need to make it happen, because the world needs these solutions, and we're going to do it together, because I think collective action is much more powerful than working in silos.
So I want to just use the place where we are just to ask you a couple questions about life here in Davos. You've been here for a few years. Tell me what's the craziest thing you've seen?
Oh, goodness. On a personal level or?
Whatever comes to mind.
So our craziest moment last year, trashing our support of we had a volunteer who brought up a Tesla that came into Davos to support us, and we were doing caterings. We needed the car. And well, with the snow happening last year, we crashed on the first night, straight into the Indonesian delegation. Started being this encounter. Then obviously, because nobody put the little sign up, the next car crashed into this bubble. And so just like this group of people in the snow, in midnight, I think it was, standing there, but connecting. So anything that you do in Davos, you end up connecting and having somehow a good time.
Did anything happen as a result of that crash? Or did you just remain friends?
No, we just remain friends and have a really good story to tell. But if we ever go to Indonesia, I think we have the right people to work with, right?
Exactly. So one other question, you know, the theory of the World Economic Foundation that I think everyone tries to do is, you know, this is about creating a better world. It's about making the world a better place. What do you think has happened here in Davos to that end?
I think it's this power of dialogue that I think people back in the days underestimated. And so this dialogue of just being up here in the mountains, secluded, we all complain because there's no accommodation, there's snow, why would we be here? But there's nothing else to distract. And so the people that come here come with intentions. It's not easy to get here. And so with these intentions to do something and be present, I think that's very powerful of just bumping into people. So yes, in that case, we didn't start working with Indonesian delegation, but we started working with many other people that we met on the shuttle, that we had a dialogue with, and so many
sort of like
creative
organized
ideas.
serendipity.
Yeah, and I think that's very powerful.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's been fantastic to have you here with me again in Hub Culture, in the studio, outside the Ice House. Nicola Gryczka, and we're going to come and see you live this week and have see a recipe cooked from start to finish. I'm really excited about it.
Perfect. Well, we look forward to hosting you on Wednesday again.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And I'm Edie Lush.